On July 30th, 1975, the world was a very different place. In suburban Detroit, it was just another summer afternoon. The sun was out, kids were probably playing in their yards, and people were wrapping up their workdays, thinking about dinner. The streets were filled with the familiar hum of traffic, the soundtrack to countless ordinary lives unfolding. But on this seemingly normal day, an event was set into motion that would puzzle America for decades, becoming one of its most enduring and infamous unsolved mysteries. James Riddle Hoffa, known to the world simply as Jimmy Hoffa, was a giant, not just in stature, but in influence. As the head of the Teamsters Union, he was arguably one of the most powerful men in the country, a figure both revered and feared. He had built an empire, navigated treacherous political waters, and commanded the loyalty of millions. On that fateful July afternoon, Hoffa left his home in Lake Orion, a quiet lakeside community. His destination was a meeting at the Machu's Red Fox restaurant in Bloomfield Township, a popular local spot. It was supposed to be a sit-down with two well-known mafia figures, Anthony Tony Jack Giacalone and Anthony Tony Provenzano. For a man like Hoffa, who often walked a fine line between organized labor and organized crime, this was business as usual. He told his wife he'd be back by 4 o'clock. There was no sense of alarm, no premonition of danger. It was just another meeting on another summer day. Hoffa arrived at the restaurant's parking lot around 2 in the afternoon. He waited and waited. The men he was supposed to meet never showed up. Growing impatient, he called his wife from a payphone, telling her he'd been stood up. It was the last time anyone from his family would ever hear his voice. Sometime after that phone call, in the busy parking lot of a suburban restaurant, Jimmy Hoffa vanished. He didn't just go missing, he was erased. There were no credible witnesses to an abduction, no signs of a struggle, no ransom note, no body. It was as if he had stepped out of his car and into thin air. The disappearance triggered a massive investigation, one of the largest in FBI history. The public was captivated. How could a man of such immense power and public profile simply disappear without a trace? Theories immediately began to fly, and the story became a modern American legend. The primary theory has always centered on the mafia. Hoffa had been released from prison a few years earlier, pardoned by President Nixon. A condition of his release was that he could unparticipate in union activities until 1980. But Hoffa was a fighter. He was actively trying to reclaim his throne as the president of the Teamsters, and this ambition was making some very dangerous people very nervous. His old allies in the mob, who now had their own man running the union and enjoyed easy access to its vast pension fund, saw Hoffa's comeback as a direct threat to their operations. Did they decide that the only way to permanently remove him from the picture was to, well, permanently remove him? This theory has fueled countless investigations and even more speculation. Over the years, the search for Hoffa's remains has become a grim national pastime. Acting on tips from informants, FBI agents have dug up horse farms, torn apart concrete floors in suburban homes, and searched under swimming pools. One of the most famous rumors was that he was buried under Giant Stadium in New Jersey. A myth that persisted for decades until the stadium was demolished. Each new dig, each new lead, brought a fresh wave of media attention, only to end in the same frustrating result. Nothing. No Hoffa, no definitive answers. But the mob theory isn't the only one, though it is the most prominent. Some have suggested that Hoffa, facing mounting pressure and new enemies, might have orchestrated his own disappearance to escape it all. This seems unlikely for a man who thrived in the spotlight and was fighting so hard to get back on top. Others have floated ideas about rogue elements within the government or rival union factions, but every path, every investigation eventually leads back to the shadowy world of organized crime and the men he was supposed to meet that day. The problem is, without a body or a confession, it remains a theory, compelling, logical, It's a widely accepted theory, but a theory nonetheless. The key players are all long gone, taking their secrets to the grave. Almost 50 years have passed since that summer afternoon in 1975. Generations have been born who only know, Jimmy Hoffa as a name in a history book or a character in a movie. Yet, the question lingers, echoing through the decades. What really happened to Jimmy Hoffa? The mystery has become bigger than the man himself, symbol of a turbulent era and a chilling reminder that sometimes, even in plain sight, the truth can vanish completely, And so, we're left with an empty space in American history, a story with no final chapter. Thank you so much for watching. If you're fascinated by unsolved mysteries like this one, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. See you in the next video.